Hello everyone, my name is Amanda and welcome back to another video of the Plenty Mandy. Alright, so I hope you guys are all having a great week so far. So I think today I'm gonna do a little bit of a different video because I noticed that there's actually a good amount of questions I got on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook that I haven't been able to answer or keep track of. So even though I do my best to check all the PMs and answer the question, I still notice that there's some I didn't get to or I just didn't notice. So yeah, so I think this video will be a great opportunity for me to just, answer some of the most frequently asked questions in one video. So let's get started. Okay, so I apologize in advance. I won't be able to answer like all of them, but I did pick out 11 of them that I noticed that it's like, most frequently asked. So I think I'm just gonna go with those. Otherwise, this video is gonna be like hours. So yep. So I kind of separate them into different category, and I would like to start with the one that is like the biggest categories, and you guess it. It's regarding to imports. All right. So the first questions regarding to import is the permits, like the import permits, and also phytosanitary certificate. So one of the question is how many plants, like how many plants is the limit like before you have to get an import permit, and the answer is 12. So if you get like 13 or more plants, you will need to apply for an import permit via APHIS. So this is for the United States, by the way. So I don't know the regulation for other, other countries. So yeah, so you do need to apply for an import permit via APHIS website if you plan to import more than 12 plants at a time. So I did film a video regarding to like the whole process. I actually went on the website to guide you through the whole like procedures on how to apply for a permit. So check that out. I'm gonna link it somewhere. And you also do need a phytosanitary certificate. So someone asked me like, what is that anyway? So phytosanitary certificate is essentially, the nursery that you're getting the plants from, or the sellers, they would have to take their plants to their version of the agriculture department in their countries, and then they would have to basically prove to those officials that there's no pest, there's no disease of these plants, and the corresponding department will issue them a phytosanitary certificate. So they would have to include it in the shipment that you order. So when it's actually get to the United States, the custom will basically check and make sure that this is certified basically to be pest-free and disease-free, because it will be a disaster for our ecosystem if we import something that have pests or disease, or even just like insects that is not local to our ecosystem. So basically you will need both. So if you decide to import more than 12 plants at a time, and you don't have a permit, or basically if you don't have a phyto for any number of plants, your shipment will risk the possibility of being confiscated or destroyed. So your money basically will be down the drain. Okay, another question is how the shipping or the logistics of the international shipment. So people ask like, oh, what is the cost? What are the options of the couriers? And the time frame. So I know there's many options, but the one that I normally use is called EMS. Just to give you a general, so of course, the cost is really depending on how big is your box, and the time of the year, seasons, and etc. Right? So the hoya shipment that I also filmed a video of, with 20 big hoyas. Just to give you a reference, cost me about $150 to ship, which is not bad at all. It could go a lot higher. But, generally speaking, I pay low more than $150, for shipping using EMS. And I never knock on wood, I never do have any problem shipping via EMS. The longest I have waited for a shipment from Thailand is about 2 weeks, so 14 days. And the plants came out a little dry, but I expected it, and it's fine. It's good. And I know there is different providers. So the one that is really popular right now is called Dragon Courier. So I think they are like a private shipping company that have pretty good knowledge in terms of shipping plans in general. But I personally do not have any experience with them, but I know that based on the price list I got from some Hoyas exporters, their price is generally higher than EMS. So the next import question I have is, so because I post pictures of me soaking my imports, just to rejuvenate them. So people ask like, oh, how long do you soak it and what do you soak it in? Because the color of the water is like brown. So I'll be honest with you, like I am not an expert in like, fertilizing or plant nutrients or anything like that. So, and I don't have any specialized products to like soak my plants in. So with that being said, essentially it's just whatever fertilizer I have on hand. So I generally pick the fertilizer that is like higher in NPK value. So the one that I soak it in is from C-Max, I think, and it's like 15, 15, 15. So nitrogen, potassium, and phosphates, they are all like 15, 15, 15 by weight. So that's what I soak it in. And then how long do I soak it? So that's a great question. So I experienced with this. I found that if you soak it overnight, it's kind of an overkill, because I noticed that when you soak it overnight and then you take it out, some of the plants will experience something called cell burst. So cell burst is essentially the plant cell it's just too full of water, it's burst. And then you will see that on the plant, it's like this like dimple, I guess, like a dimple thing on the leaf. So you don't want that. So I would say on average, like 6 to 7 hours are pretty good. So the next categories I have is, we got to grow lights. I know that I promised I'm gonna do a grow lights video, and yes, I will for sure. So just, there's some information and tools I need to get in order to make it an efficient and effective video for you guys. So give me some time. I'll shoot like a detailed video regarding grow lights. But there's like a couple questions regarding grow light that was being asked a lot. Is number one, what kind of grow lights do you use? And number two, how long does it take to light stress a Hoya? So those are really great questions. So I experienced with this a lot. So first of all, how long does it take? It really depends on the Hoya species, right? So generally speaking, the one that have like thinner foliage tend to get sun stress like a little bit faster. But again, there's no general rule, but it just depending on the species. So I would say like, if you get like, let's say a Hoya Rebecca or Hoya Sunrise, which is the one that it's really famous for its wet foliage when it gets stressed, sun stress or light stress, I would say give it about 2 weeks, right? And of course, it's linked to the next question, right? So what kind of grow lights do you use? So for grow lights wise, I use, like I said, all kind. So you can see the back. So basically, because I grow a lot of plant under grow lights, I don't have enough sun. So I just take whatever I can with the budget that I have. So I take all kind. But I noticed that the full spectrum generally work the best if you want to stress your Hoya. So full spectrum mean that it have all the color, like, the color of the rainbow pretty much, and it's look white, right, when you get it. And then I also do have some like, red and blue one, so which is like purple. And then I have some the yellow light. So if I have to rank them, I think the best one to stress your Hoya or just for your Hoya grow in general is a full spectrum one, in my opinion and in my experience. And then the second one will be the blue and the red. And the yellow one, I feel like generally speaking, it's like a little bit weaker. And so I think full spectrum one will be a great one to start with to light stress your Hoya. And again, how long does it take? It really depends on the species of the Hoya. So I would say like give it around 2 weeks. Some may take less time, like some may take more time. So just test it out and see, and see how it is. And of course, you also have to consider how long you leave your grow lights for, and then how strong your grow light is. And that's why I need to do a separate video for that, because it's gonna be like a really long, a lot of different like experience that I would like to share with you. But generally speaking, full spectrum, give it about 2 weeks. So that would be my answer for those two questions. Okay, so next I have 2 questions that is regarding to plant care, right? So the first one is, how do you keep your specular moss moist if you grow your plants in moss? So I get the question multiple times because I propagate almost exclusively in moss, and it works really well for me. I know some people don't like it, but for me, in my environment, in my experience in the past couple of years, it has been working great. And I also grow some of my Hoyas in moss, like meaning that they just grow in moss. Like I don't use lacquer for them, I don't use soil for them, they grow in moss. So one of the problems that people encounter when they grow in moss is like the moss do dry out pretty quickly, and once they get dry, they are dry, like they're bone dry. So my recommendation is check them more often. So I have to say that because my Polylura and my serpents and I think that is a Chubiana, are in moss. So I do have to water them like a lot more often than my other Hoyas. So I would say on average, like every 2 or 3 days, I would want to check them. However, one thing that I also do is like I would leave like a reservoir. Look, I'm not talking about like, a lot of water, but I'm talking about like a tiny bit, like 1 centimeters like of water, just to like keep it moist but not soggy wet. So I think that helps a lot if you think that checking in every 2 or 3 days is just like too much work for you. Fortunately for me, because I only have a few Hoyas growing in moss, so it's not too bad. However, because my propagation are exclusive in moss, and then I also put my propagation on a heat mat, which means that the moss is gonna dry out even more quickly. So because of that, for my propagation, I do have to like diligently to check it every 2 or 3 days. And then I would have like all the small pots that I have moss and my cuttings in, and I put it in a big tray. So when I when I need to wet the moss again, I just pour water into the tray, and then the moss will soak up the water. So that's how I save time. And of course, it's take a little bit of time experience to know that how much water you should put in the tray. Not to like, make the moss too moist, because it's gonna kill the roots as well. So next question. This is a tough one but I do get this a lot. So basically people ask me, oh my god, my Hoya leaves are yellowing. What's wrong? So this is a great question. Don't get me wrong. It's a great question. It's a very valid question. It's a very, it's happened a lot, right? But, it's very hard to say what is wrong if your Hoyas have yellow leaves, because it can be caused by so many different reasons. But, I will share with you if I found like a yellow leaves on my Hoya, or multiple yellow leaves on my Hoya, my process. Okay, so I basically go through a process of elimination, right? Because you don't know this could be so many reasons, right? So you don't know what's wrong. So you just kind of have to like, eliminate the possibilities and then eventually get to the root cause. The first thing I would do is make sure this is not just a lateral cycle. So leaves has a finite length of life, right? So if you notice there's a yellow leaf, like a single yellow leaf at the at the bottom of your hoyas, which is like the oldest leaf, and it could be just a natural cycle, right? Because leaves, they grow and they work hard to produce food for the plants and they die. So that's happened, right? If it is just like a single incident, and single incident, which means there's only one leaf yellowing and then it's happened once, and that's pretty much it. So that's probably the natural cycle of the leaf, so no need to worry about. However, if you eliminate that possibility, meaning that, okay, I see that there's yellow leaf like on the new leaves or the middle leaf, and it's not a single incident, right? So meaning that you have multiple leaves, eventually like turning yellow. So the first thing I would do is I would check the roots, because like yellowing leaves can be caused by nutrient deficiency. It could be caused by, overwatering, and all that stuff gonna damage the root system. And that's why your leaves turn yellow. So if you take out the plants and then you see the roots is like brown or mushy, or like you have root rot, so that could be why. And what you want to do is obviously to like trim off all the dead roots, right? And then if you're overwatering, you want to like really help the plant to dry out quicker. And let's say after you take out the plants and then the roots are fine, like it's white, it's chubby, it's not mushy, it's healthy, you may have a nutrient deficiency. So there is a lot of charts or pictures on the internet that you can look up for what kind of nutrient deficiency. So if your leaf is just generally like yellow all over, it could be nitrogen deficiency. So you simply just have to like, get your regular NPK, like your generic fertilizer. However, like, there's also different pattern of yellowing, right? So there could be like, yellowing spot. There could be like, it's only yellow on the leaf but not on the wings. So those to tell you that it's different nutrient deficiency. So, because plant doesn't just need the nitrogen, phosphorus, and the potassium, it does need like micronutrients such as iron, calcium, manganese, and stuff like that. So you may want to look up on the internet to see, okay, if I have this specific pattern of yellowing, it's mean that I do need to, and then the roots are fine, it's not the natural cycle of the leaf, then you may want to fertilize the plant. So that would be my process of elimination when I see yellowing leaves. Okay, so one more plant care question is, should I immediately report my plants, that I got from a nursery? So my answer is depends. So what I normally do if I get a plant from a nursery, or like I just receive one, let's say in the mail, and if they're being shipped in like some kind of medium, I always take out and then check the roots first. Because you may say that, well, but the plants look fine, like the foliage is good, everything is good, like I bet the roots is good. New flesh. So even if there's a root problem, the foliage can remain fine for a period of time until it's actually show signs of degeneration. So I always check the roots, right? So that's why I always check the roots first. So I would say like when I get a plant from, nursery or from in the mail, I would always check the roots. And if the roots look fine and the plant is growing in the original medium, I just leave it in there. I literally have plants that I got like years ago and it's still in the same soil that I got from, and it's doing completely fine, right? And of course, you need to fertilize because the plant do use up the original fertilizer in the original soil. So you may want to fertilize. So if I check the roots are completely healthy, the plant is growing, it's happy, I will just leave it in the soil, because it's also, because you don't need to change something that is working, right? And number two is you also do want the plant to like have time to acclimate to your home environment. You don't want to change too much at once, because when you get the plants from the nursery or in the mail, and then, you move it from a environment A to environment B, it's already a lot of changes for the plants, right? The plants need to get used to it. And if you, at this time, you still like change the soil, even if it's not necessary, then it will cause the plants even more stress. So I would say if the root is fine, the plant is fine, I will just leave it in the original soil when you get from the nursery. And if you really, 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 really want to repot it for whatever reason, like I know some people like to transition it into leca, I would wait for at least like 2 or 3 weeks, and, observe the plants, make sure it's like, within the 2 or 3 weeks, it's still healthy. There's no yellowing leaves, there's no dropping leaves, it's acclimating well. Then I may consider, repotting it. And let's say like if I come home and then I check the roots, or if I'm at the nursery, I check the roots is like not good, even though the leaves look good. It does happen a lot. It could happen. I'm not saying it's happened a lot, but it could happen. Then I would like really clean out the dead roots or the rotten roots, and then like use a different pot and completely different soil, because if the roots are rotten, it means that the soil are basically contaminated, and you don't want to repot it with the same pot or the same soil. So you may want to repot that if that's the case. Okay, so next I have like 2, I would say, miscellaneous questions that was asked multiple times. The first one is, where do you get your like whatever hoyas, like insert name of hoyas? So normally like it would be something that is more rare. So for example, like my clemenciorum, my clemenciorum I scare Fiona. My clemenciorum like get asked a lot. People ask like, oh, where did you get your clemenciorum, right? So the answer is the clemenciorum I got 2 of them, and one of them I got from eBay locally, and the other one I got from an international source. So I would say eBay is a great place to shop for rare hoyas if you are willing to bid and if you have the budget, right? But otherwise, like the most favorite local place that I like to get my hoya is Gardino Nursery. So I did film a video about like where do I shop for my hoyas. I forgot however many weeks ago. And those are my favorite place to shop for hoyas. And I know that Hoyas market has been going crazy right now. It's like the price is going up like a 90 degree slope. But despite that, like Gardino is still like pretty reasonable if you can catch a restock and if you can like check out fast enough. The other place I would say it's both have good plans and reasonable price and great customer service is a couple shops that I really like on Etsy. So Grow Babies, which is run by How, and he's also really active in the Facebook group. He has so many different varieties of hoyas, and he is very funny and he's a nice guy, and he's still maintaining pretty reasonable pricing. And as you know, I have another favorite Etsy shop which is called DJ2 Homegrown, and it's run by Teresa. She also do have great plans and really reasonable pricing. So those are the couple places that I would still like. I stopped buying hoyas for now because it's the winter, and then I just have enough in my hands, and I don't have enough space. So I kind of like slow down or stop buying hoyas right now. But those are the places that I would look if I do decide I want to look for new hoyas. Oh, and by the way, you can check out Logis as well, logis.com. They don't have a huge varieties of hoya, but their plans, again, it's always good, and the price is still rather reasonable. So I really like this question is people ask what hoya ship well and what doesn't. This is a very good question, because especially when it's come to imports, because yes, there is a lot of beautiful hoyas that you can get from Thailand, Indonesia, or whatever, or even China right now. But some of the hoyas, like in general, they just do not ship well. And even if you get that rare hoyas in your possession, they may be dead or they may not recover. So that's just how it is. So those are the hoyas. If you really want them, you may have to find it in a local source. You may have to pay more money for it. But you know, in the long term, it's worth the while because you don't have to recover it, like rehab it, and you know, it wouldn't come to you dead. So with that being said, when you import hoyas or when you just buy hoya in general, the succulent one always ship much better. So that would be like, you know, the propagation cultivar, the canosa cultivar, it's always good. You know, the Morelii, the Arnotiana, basically like any woody succulent species, because they hold on to their water better, so they generally do ship better. And what do not ship well is the thinner leaf species. So I literally just sent a Hoya Papagos Chanii out for a giveaway I did on Instagram, and unfortunately when that person sent me the pictures, like it's looked kind of like, you know, wilty, which happened because Papagos Chanii, just to give you a reference, the leaf texture is somewhat like multiflora, so they are like a little bit like thinner, so it doesn't ship as well. So basically thinner leaves Hoya, because again they don't hold on to water as good as the thicker one, the succulent one, so they do not ship well. And second, there is couple Hoyas that is famous for not shipping well. They could be succulent, but they just are finicky one because they do require a special environment to grow and to thrive. So with that being said, if you ship them, they would be really unhappy. So those include, but not limited to, this is just to my knowledge, okay? For example, the Patricia doesn't ship good. The Dowanii doesn't ship good, and they just doesn't happy no matter what you do. The Elliptica is famous for not shipping well. The Undunada also do not ship well. So a lot of those are really like specialty like species. They generally do not ship well. So you know, again, you know, I don't know all the Hoyas, so but those are the couple ones that I ship myself, and I failed to rehab it. Or I heard people like trying to get them online or internationally, and it just came like not good. so those are the couple ones that on top of my head that I can think of. But if you have some that you know or you are curious about, just make sure you leave it in the comment below. And because I would love to learn more, like, you know, species of Hoyas that it doesn't ship well or ship well. So yeah, so those would be my limited answers. All right, so that's all I have got for you today. I try to pick like, there's like a lot of questions, guys. Like, thank you so much for asking them. But like, I just picked like the 11 that is like, you know, have been asked, like all of this question has been asked multiple times on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So I think, you know, maybe more people want to know about them. So yeah, so let me know what you think about this video. What you think about this like FAQ format, and I would love to do more in the future, because I think this is a really good way for, you know, for us to learn from each other. And also because I'm an airhead, like I would miss messages, I would miss comments like all the time. So it's gave me a good opportunity to just go back and I just, you know, calm the questions out and then, you know, answer them if I, you know, did forget to answer them on social media. So yep, that's all I have got for you today. Make sure that you leave it in comment, you know, what you think about this format. Should I do it more? As usual, if you like this video, make sure you click like. If you want more future video, make sure you click subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.